What is up, guys? You are tuned into a special edition of the Casual Wrestling Fastlane Post Show. I am Nerdy D, and if you are listening to this, you are part of the CWC, and this is the show where we join together to ask and answer the biggest questions coming out of WWE Fastlane this weekend. But before we get into that, do me a little favor and tap the like button. It only takes 2 seconds, and it lets YouTube know that you are listening, and it grows the casual community army as we continue to chip away at the IWC stronghold over the online wrestling conversation. So let's jump straight into housekeeping this week. If you didn't watch last week's show, there's a couple of changes to the schedule moving forward. Champ and the Chick will post late Mondays, Raw post show on Tuesday, Casual Wrestling show on Thursday, and the SmackDown post show on Saturday. So everything just shifting a day forward, giving me a little more time to prep for the post shows after they conclude it. It's hard to go straight to recording right when the show goes off. It gives me that next morning to kind of get my thoughts together. The Casual Wrestling shirts are available on the new casualwrestling.com. Check the website out. It's got lots of cool stuff. Still working on the forums for the website, but the merch is up. The podcast, you can listen to it now on the website, and you can watch the YouTube videos on the website as well. So lots of cool things going on. Make sure to take a second to check that out. And then last thing I want to talk about is the Discord. I've been talking about it for a couple weeks now, but the time has come. It will be this week that I'm going to be with the help of the community manager, we're going to be reformatting the Discord. This past week, I had quite a few instant messages telling me that certain parts of the Discord that weren't necessarily popular anymore. A lot of people not fans of all of the discussion outside of wrestling. I think that, and I understand, when you have a community that's based around wrestling, there's a certain kind of small group that enjoys all of the conversation, but there's a lot of people who are there strictly for the wrestling talk, and I guess it can get to be a lot with all the notifications. So we're going to condense down the Discord. This next week, if you're in the Discord, you're going to see some things change, and we'll figure it out as we go. But that will be happening. Possibly, there's a thought, there's talk of starting a second Discord community that will be just the casual community, where some of that stuff that we've been doing in that community can shift over, but all of the notifications won't rush through to the people who are just there for the casual wrestling related stuff. Lots of people may not speak up that are in the Discord who just like to kind of hear the wrestling conversation, and I don't know that they just want notifications on like the latest snack coming out. So let's talk about Fastlane. Let's start off. Let's go overall thoughts on Fastlane. I would say that for a show that didn't have a ton of buildup and a ton of anticipation, that it exceeded my expectations. I don't think that this is a world changer for WWE. I don't think this is going to be looked back as one of the top premium live events of the year, but I think it did its job. It served its purpose as an October premium live event. Something that just tends to come and go and doesn't get remembered. It did it as well as you could do. I don't think that anybody will be talking about Carlito's surprise return next week. I don't think that blew the pants off of anybody. It wasn't so much of a story mover that all of these stories got moved forward. I think it was, if I had to label it something, it was more of an experimental attempt to just kind of solidify the position of certain guys on the roster. Guys like LA Knight, Damian Priest, certain guys just kind of got solidified and maybe their purpose just tightened up a little bit. But like I've been saying for the last couple of weeks, this is what the mid-tier premium live events are going to be. They're just going to be what we've known as WWE super shows. They're just going to be fun. They're just a fun watch. There's not a lot of reason for them. Probably more important for casual fans, they're a jumping in point. I actually got my dad to start watching wrestling this weekend because he's possibly talking about coming on to one of the shows and doing some wrestling talk. And I said, that's a great jumping in place. They're going to do a good job of catching you up on what you need to know, and they're not going to move the needle so far that you're going to be like, hey man, what the hell is going on here? And so I think coming out of Fastlane, Monday Night Raw is going to feel like a lot more of the same. It didn't, not a lot has changed. Maybe we move on from Shinsuke Nakamura and Seth Rollins. Maybe we don't. We'll have to wait and see. But I do think if I had to put a number on this premium live event, this was the most 3 out of 10 premium live event that I've seen in a while. It was just good. It was just good. It was just fun. It wasn't great. Wasn't fantastic. It wasn't dog shit. It was a good time. It was fun. I don't think there wasn't a lot of bad things that happened that I can complain about, but I made a lot of bad predictions. That's for sure. And that was in direct conflict with my own advice to not expect too much going into this premium live event. Of course, when I made my predictions, I expected way too much out of a premium live event in October in Indianapolis, Indiana. I mean, so one of the things I said is that Jade Cargill would get involved. Didn't get involved. We got to see her, but she didn't get involved. She showed up weirdly in wrestling gear to get out of her car and be greeted by Triple H. And that's it. And then in the post-show press conference, Triple H comes out and says, look, you'll get plenty of Jade Cargill when she's ready. Cool. I got no problem with that. It just, I set my expectations too high thinking that she was immediately going to come out and attack Charlotte Flair. Io Sky had a good showing. I think, they still found a way to protect Charlotte. I think that's positive moving forward. They did a lot of good things while not really affecting certain people that I thought might be in trouble. I thought it was touch and go there for Io for a little bit. Montez Ford took a pin. I don't love that. I don't absolutely love that Montez Ford took a pin. I don't love that story absolutely didn't do anything for the United States Championship, but it was a fun match. I will admit, it was fun. Seeing Carlito back in WWE was fun. You can't complain about that. But let's dig a little bit deeper into a couple of the matches that I think deserve a little more attention than the rest of the card. So, if you had to pick a star of the show, I still think it's LA Knight. I think at this point, it is safe for me to say, I've said this a couple times, a couple months ago, the IWC came for me. They tried to rip my fucking head off, but I'm going to say it again. And this time I'm going to say it with my chest and I'm going to say it confidently. LA Knight is more over than Seth Rollins in WWE right now. I don't care that they sing Seth Rollins' song. As far as just straight up pop for a superstar, LA Knight was the biggest star on that card last night. And I think outside of maybe Roman Reigns and Rhea Ripley, LA Knight's the third go-to guy in WWE. He was the MVP of that card. You have to be realistic, and you have to appreciate John Cena. Like, let's take a second. Let's talk about John Cena. You have to appreciate him for what he did, because he was literally there on Saturday to spotlight LA Knight. And I know I've seen the IWC members saying John Cena is a shell of who he used to be. But here's the problem. It's obvious that the IWC is too ignorant to understand that Cena is just doing his job. He has showed up to make sure that LA Knight is put into a position to be a top guy. That's what he's there for. That's the reality of what's going on. Cena's not trying to be the main guy. They're calling him the GOAT. He's already solidified his spot in the wrestling hierarchy. It's now time for him to use some of that limelight, some of that shine that he has to put other guys over, and he's doing it in the most Cena way possible, and that is putting over another babyface. Now, there's going to be some fun moments in the near future, along with some stupid anticipation, where I let myself believe that LA Knight could be the person to dethrone Roman Reigns. And I will do the typical thing where I start to build up hype. Just wait for it. The next couple weeks, I will start to build up hype. I will start to build these grandiose delusions in my head and start to believe that somehow LA Knight is that guy who at Crown Jewel could take down the tribal chief. And when I start doing this, guys, when I start doing this, inevitably, I need you guys to step in. Step in the comment section and remind me that this is WWE, Nerdy D. This is Roman Reigns' house. And while LA Knight will be a big deal in the future, he's not the guy to take down the tribal chief. Stage an intervention for me. While I sit here in this virtual circle and I start rattling off excuses, because I will do it. I will be convincing. I will try to get you guys on board with how LA Knight should be that guy to step in and take down the tribal chief. And you guys need to step up and say, cool, pump your brakes, Nerdy D. He's not that guy. Like, and I might fight it, but I know deep down inside you guys are right. But I'm going to start the hype train. Now, let's stay in the now. Let's talk about what's going on right now. Let's talk about that match. Jimmy Uso, he's phenomenal. This new version of Jimmy Uso, I love it. I absolutely love it. Solo Sikoa is a beast. There's a beast in the making with Solo Sikoa. John Cena played his role beautifully. Did exactly what you would want somebody passing the torch to do. And LA Knight's the new thorn in the bloodline's back. That's what's going on here. So not much to complain about. Coming out of that match, WWE did a solid job of holding us over while Roman Reigns was on his third or fourth vacation this year. Where the hell does Roman go? Like, what do you guys think Roman Reigns does when he's not on WWE television? Is he just traveling the world? Is he out taking his family all kinds of crazy places? Do you think Roman Reigns watches SmackDown like, man, look how much they need me. Look how much they need the tribal chief. Is he out taking Hollywood meetings for like Too Fast, I'm Furious 13? What's Roman doing? Because if it was me, I couldn't sit on the sidelines like that. I couldn't watch my guys week after week struggle to kind of stay above water, knowing that I'm that piece that could put the show over the top and get more eyeballs on my cousins, on my friends, on my peers. I couldn't be 1 foot in the door, especially during some kind of historic title run like Roman Reigns is on. I think if it was me, I would look at this and dedicate myself and go, I'm going to solidify myself as the GOAT of pro wrestling, and I'm just going to start defending against everybody. If the IWC wants to complain that I don't show up enough, fuck it. Open challenge. I'm here every week. I'm going to start. You stack them up, I knock them down. That's what I'm doing. That's what Nerdy D's doing. But I'm just another bald white man that's on the microphone like the wise man Paul Heyman. That man, he was looking old. We got to talk. Paul Heyman was looking old. What's wrong with Paul? I hope that was part of the shtick. I hope that was part of the Roman being gone was stressing him out, because it kind of felt like that's what it was. I hope that's what's going on, because I don't like seeing Paul Heyman look old. But Roman's return will be fun. It'll be interesting this Friday. You got Jimmy who's seemingly overstepping his boundaries. Michael Cole made sure to let us know he's not officially back in the bloodline yet. So you'll have that dynamic. You'll have the dynamic that LA Knight is now officially going to be a thorn in the side of Roman Reigns. I'm still crossing my fingers that we're somehow leading to another Bloodline Survivor Series. Maybe the Judgment Day double crosses Roman Reigns and we get some version of that. I still think it could be interesting if you did a Survivor Series that featured maybe two Survivor Series matches, one men's and maybe one kind of intergender that featured Rhea Ripley and the Bloodline, and incorporated some outside talent and not just necessarily doing men's and women's. I honestly don't know right now if they have enough seeds in place for a solid women's Survivor Series match. And I hate when they just throw those things together. But we do have to talk about the post-show press conference where John Cena came out and said that the minute the Hollywood strike is over, he's gone. He has to leave. And I know that's the truth. And I know we all knew that from the beginning. But there's a part of me deep down inside that hates that he had to say that out loud. We know, John. We know you're going to leave when Hollywood comes calling, but you didn't have to make it black and white for us. We know the reality of the situation, but it just feels like it belittles us a little bit. It feels like it belittles wrestling. It feels like SmackDown just may not mean enough to you. You know, you made it brutally real that Hollywood could just pluck any of our favorite superstars away from us the minute they want them. I wish that John Cena would have just come out and said, look, I have a plan. I'm here while I'm here. And when the plan is over, I will leave with grace, something like that, and I'll show back up when I'm ready. I wish that he didn't put such a definitive, when this happens, I'm gone, Doesn't matter if it's in the middle of a run or something. I don't like the realism. I know that that's realistically what has to happen. I don't like being forced to stare into that reality. So I was bad on predictions on Saturday. Lauren beat the shit out of me. I think it was 4-1 or something like that. Or she was 4-1 and I was 1-4. I was absolutely dog shit. I did not see the Judgment Day dropping the tag team titles to Jey Uso and Cody Rhodes. And I'm not sure what that means moving forward. I guess we may be seeing the beginning of the end of the Judgment Day. It seems like it may be an appropriate time. I'm not sure. I think that definitely on Monday we'll get some kind of retaliation from Dom talking to Damian, asking him, hey, where's your title at, buddy? You know, we may start to see a little bit more of Finn Balor, navigate towards JD McDonough. They may buddy up a little bit. I expect to see Damian Priest maybe get pushed to the outside of Judgment Day just a little bit. You know, Judgment Day keeps stepping up. Rhea Ripley keeps stepping up and telling him, not yet, don't cash in yet. And I think that before too long, Damian Priest is going to start taking offense to this, and we're going to see him move to the outside. Now, I'm not mad at a title swap. I see why it works. I'm absolutely on board with it. I think that you could take this in a couple different directions, right? You can go Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens challenging for the tag team titles at Crown Jewel, with Kevin Owens losing and turning heel on Sami, and you could begin that story arc. That absolutely works. I'm not mad at it. I also understand that this is something for Cody Rhodes to do, to hold him over for the next couple of months. Because obviously Cody can't keep coming out and just cutting the same promo. He's got to wrestle. This gives him a reason to wrestle. Do I love that Jey Uso comes out of possibly the best tag team of all time and is immediately put into a mishmash tag team with Cody Rhodes, and he's champion again? No, don't love it. Don't love when these thrown together teams win the tag team titles. I think it diminishes the idea that like cohesiveness works. But like I said, I understand why this was necessary. I understand how this is necessary. I understand how this works. But this is more of the title style of booking that I enjoy. Unexpected changes, shorter title runs. I asked for this. I said I want surprise title changes that are closer related to UFC than to these long 3 and 4 year, 10-month title runs. And so I can't be mad when WWE turns around and gives me exactly what I asked for. I honestly hope this is the normal booking pattern once some of these longer title runs start to come to an end. Now, there was a moment where I thought Io Sky was in trouble in her match. I talked about it a little earlier. I thought Bayley was going to cost her title, but she made it out of her match okay. So I think the balance of title changes and surprises, I think they handled that correct. I thought for a minute there might be title changes all over the place. Shinsuke, Io, the tag team titles, but I think Triple H reined it in, and I think he did a good job. And I think, speaking of Triple H, his big announcement that's coming on the season premiere, coming on the season premiere of SmackDown this week, I think, and I've heard rumors, this isn't me coming, I'm not some genius coming this well top of my head. I've heard people talk about a few different things, but I'm going to go with, I think this is Triple H introducing new SmackDown tag team titles. I really do. I think that, for all the bullshit, I think there's so many better ways to do this, but I'd rather just rip the Band-Aid off at this point and let's combine Cody and Jay's titles, and let's set up a tag team tournament on SmackDown, because with the Street Profits, with everything going on over there, I think that show needs its own set of tag team titles. So I have to say, but just one last little note here. Post TKO takeover of WWE, everything has kind of fallen right in line with how I imagined I wanted to see WWE move forward in the foreseeable future. And so I have to question, you have to question the management structure. Is this a Triple H thing? Is this a sign that Vince McMahon is back in power? or does TKO have a little bit more pull than we originally thought? And Vince and Triple H know that they can't fuck around with the ratings, especially while AEW is failing. So the last thing coming out of Fastlane that I want to talk about is that it looks like WWE is hell-bent on rolling forward with Seth Rollins as your world heavyweight champion. And I don't love it. I think Shinsuke Nakamura paid enough dues that he was supposed to win that match. He was supposed to be given the nod and at least given a couple months to show what he could do. I honestly laid it out perfectly for WWE. And they once again chose to ignore my genius booking. But that's okay, because I get it. I might have made some slight calculation errors in the timing of how I laid it all out. I had CM Punk showing up at Fastlane when obviously that's a crown jewel thing, right? CM Punk doesn't show up at Fastlane in Indianapolis. He shows up at Crown Jewel. That's a bigger stage. Bigger stage, bigger news, I suppose, right? That's where he cost Seth Rollins the title. Maybe it's Shinsuke Nakamura. I don't know who it is at this point. I'm still sticking with this mindset. I'm dead set on the fact CM Punk it's a done deal. CM Punk is back in WWE. We're going to see him in Chicago. In some form or fashion, CM Punk will be back in WWE. Someone would have told Corey Graves by now, hey, stop that shit. Stop dropping all these teasers. Stop, Seth Rollins, stop doing these things. Like, I imagine the next couple weeks we're going to start hearing some CM Punk chants, and the WWE is not going to combat it. I think they like the hoopla that surrounds this. They like the subtleties to AEW. And right now, WWE seems hell-bent on squashing AEW, and a CM Punk successful return is just one more nail in that coffin. It's obvious, like the WWE, and whether it's TKO, whether it's Vince McMahon, whether it's Triple H, someone finally had enough and said, put your fucking foot on their throat and just press down. There's literally no way it goes bad in WWE with CM Punk. I'm convinced at this point. They're going to have 100 sets of eyes on him at all times. Paul Heyman, just everybody's going to be looking at him, telling him, you have to act and do this a certain way. And all of the creative goals will be laid out in front of him. This is your story. This is where we're going. You need to behave. And I think that CM Punk has been humbled a little bit coming out of this last AEW. You know, I still don't think he was wrong for what happened in AEW, but I definitely am not ignorant enough to go, he's blameless. So I think he's been humbled by that situation. I think he knows that if he comes back to WWE, this is it. Like, this is your last chance. You got lucky in the way this all happened, because I don't even know how you make it back to WWE if you don't have a falling out with AEW. So the stars have lined up for CM Punk, and obviously you have to take advantage of this last opportunity that I am quite sure is going to happen, because Seth Rollins versus CM Punk is the match to make. It makes too much sense all the way around. It rights so many of the wrongs that have happened in the last 10 years in WWE. Look, number one, CM Punk can go into the Hall of Fame. And that's going to be a big, ugly, messy spot if you have to keep ignoring the fact that CM Punk existed, and you have to ignore the fact that during the 2010s, CM Punk was a heavy player. We can acknowledge all his stuff with John Cena again. We can talk about Money in the Bank again. It just makes sense to give CM Punk his flowers and allow him to be recognized. Secondly, CM Punk can hold the title for a few months. That's a redeeming moment for CM Punk to have to leave AEW, then immediately come into the major leagues, the big boy, the big company, and grab a title, grab the World Heavyweight Championship, because that's where CM Punk belongs. He didn't belong in that Roman story. He belongs with Seth Rollins over here in the World Heavyweight Championship, and he could have a redeeming 5 or 6 month heel run with the World Heavyweight Championship. And Seth Rollins, don't get it twisted, is the perfect babyface for CM Punk, because he can walk that line. They both can walk that line. There will be a split down that crowd for who is there for CM Punk and who is there for Seth Rollins. And that's when you get that beautiful, like, 2011 Money in the Bank moment, is when that crowd is split. And Punk can come in, he can main event night one of WrestleMania, something he's always wanted to do, is main event of WrestleMania. He gets that opportunity, and he does what guys of his age get to do, and that is put over a deserving superstar like Seth Rollins. And there's not a lot of guys that you can say, that you could put in a conversation, that can actually still put over Seth Rollins. But I think Punk is one of those guys. And I think Seth Rollins knows it deep down inside, that if Punk comes in humble and he is willing to pass that torch, I think Seth Rollins can make bygones be bygones and allow for a match at WrestleMania. But then you look forward. Don't stop there. Let's look forward at 2024 and let's start laying out what we can do. The matches that we could make for CM Punk. CM Punk versus Kevin Owens. I'm all about it. CM Punk versus Logan Paul. That's interesting. That could be fun. That could get dicey real fast. CM Punk versus Jey Uso. Put another young guy over. CM Punk versus LA Knight. Put another guy over. CM Punk versus Gunther. CM Punk versus Carmelo Hayes. Let's see a little CM Punk in NXT. CM Punk versus Shinsuke Nakamura, which I say should be the first match that happens in Chicago at Survivor Series. But once again, who am I? They don't listen to me. I can keep going on and on. I'm excited for every one of those possible matches on the list. And that shows you what? That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 matches for 2024 that you don't even, it doesn't need much storytelling. You just let CM Punk grab the mic and act a little pissed off, and those things start to right themselves. Let's see what little bit of news we have to talk about tonight. FTR might have just asked for their release from AEW. So I've seen conflicting reports the last couple days about FTR asking for a release from AEW. FTR filed for the trademark of CMFTR, which I'm guessing was probably already in play before CM Punk left AEW. So I don't know. I wouldn't read in too much to that. I think that if CM Punk doesn't sign with WWE, there's still opportunity for them to work with him on indie circuits. So I don't read too much into that. FTR came out and said that AEW is the home, and that but having said that, that's something that I think you would say even if you were planning on leaving, because I don't think you can just shit on Tony Khan. You signed a new contract. If Tony's going to let you out of your contract, or if there's even discussions, you can't look disgruntled. I think you have to sit down and in a very mature way talk to Tony Khan and go, look, we thought this was going to work when Punk was here. We thought there was a path forward for us, but maybe we're just not happy here long term. So that's still an opportunity. I think more than likely people are reading too much into them dropping the tag team titles. I think all along there has been this story kind of building that Ricky Starks needs a title and he needs a moment. And so I think maybe Tony Khan had already put this into play and the tag team titles made the most sense. I don't know. I'm not an FTR guy, so I'm not clamoring for them to come back to WWE. I don't think WWE is necessarily just dying to get them back. Although, if you're trying to bolster your SmackDown tag team division, what an exciting way to do it than to bring back what a lot of people consider the best tag team in all of wrestling. Second story, WWE is planning to bury AEW for its move to Tuesday night this week. This is interesting, guys. This is such a Triple H move. This is such kind of a WWE Dana White, TKO, Vince McMahon. This is spiteful. This is definitely going for the throat. Because what you got is, you got Triple H coming out at the press conference and openly talking about Edge and saying there was nothing left for him in WWE. We were okay. There's no hard feelings. He can go to AEW and he can live out all of his wildest dreams. But while you're there, we're going to fucking destroy that company. So you can go get on that boat. And right when you step on, we are going to fire 500 cannonballs at your ship and we are going to sink it. We are going to bury that company that you just joined. John Cena, Paul Heyman, Asuka, Becky Lynch, Carmelo Hayes versus Braun Breaker is going to be your main event. And just for the fuck of it, let's play The Undertaker's gong. Tease that he's going to be there, and more than likely, The Undertaker's going to show up on NXT. The numbers are going to be brutal, guys. This is going to be bad. This is going to be a massacre. If I'm Tony Khan, I'm shitting my pants right now. There's not like this has got to be. It's Tony Khan's birthday, right? This has got to be the worst week of his life. He's got to just be freaking out. If AEW right now is doing 800,000 views, this is going to be bad. Because it's going to be worse than it's ever been. Let's not talk about the fact that when a show moves to a different night, there's just a certain number of fans who are uninformed and they won't watch because they don't know it's on a different night. So you lose what? 100,000 people that just don't know that you're moving to Tuesday this week? Then on top of that, you have to factor in that NXT has decided to put together the biggest NXT card possibly of the last 3 or 4 years. John Cena, Paul Heyman, Asuka, Becky Lynch, Undertaker. I seriously think that AEW number can dip sub 500,000 in viewership. That's scary. That's getting very scary. For your flagship program to sink that low, and what do? If you're Tony Khan, what do you do here? You can only play to your audience. That's all. That's the AEW playbook. You can only play to the IWC here. And here's the problem. If you swing for a home run and you throw everything you got at that show, Moxley, MJF, Edge, everybody you can think of, you put them all on that night, you swing for the fences, and you still fall flat, you still fall sub 500,000, you're screwed. You're screwed. What? It just shows you could put everything you have and you can't win against NXT. You're not a second brand. You definitely, if that happens, you move down a rung. You move down under NXT as far as the hierarchy goes. But here's the problem. If you decide to punt, if you decide to look at this show now and go, well, let's not put our best foot forward. Let's just put a couple guys out there. Let's run a normal Dynamite and see what happens. You immediately look scared. You immediately look like you said, this is a bad situation and I don't want any part of it and I don't want it to look like we tried. It's lose-lose for Tony Khan. And I don't think Tony saw this coming. I don't think when he made the switch to Tuesday that he thought in his mind, oh, WWE will come for me. They'll come for blood. But this is what happens when over years and years, last 4 years, you make these snarky little comments about being competition, about being the alternative to WWE. This is what happens. Those things just add up, and WWE was just writing them down. Oh, okay, that's what you think, Tony? Cool. All right, yeah, no, you're cool. Competition, right? And then there's an opportunity. The stars line up for WWE, and they go, kill him, fatality, finish him. There's a part of me I'm thinking I'm kicking around in my head doing a special NXT AEW post show on Tuesday because I want to talk about the massacre that happens. I want to give my honest thoughts on, was it as bad as I imagined it's going to be, or did AEW figure out a way to kind of ease the blow? No matter what, it's going to be bad, but it's a matter of how bad is that going to be. Last story of the night, I saw rumors floating around, and I don't like to normally talk about rumors so much, but I thought this is interesting. A lot of people who listen to the show were fans of Bray Wyatt, so I want to talk about this. But I saw rumors floating around that Bray Wyatt's faction, that they're calling the Funhouse 6, is still in play as far as WWE creative goes. The rumor is that all parties involved have agreed that it would be a great way to carry on Bray Wyatt's legacy. That's kind of cool, man. That's kind of interesting. I'm guessing, I think it only makes sense it would be Uncle Howdy. It's going to be Bo Dallas leading the faction. And at first, I think when you first hear this, there's a little bit of like a sour taste of like, is that right? But I think that you have to think of it from the point of view that if Bo Dallas is involved, he knows what Bray wanted. I imagine they're consulting JoJo. I'm sure that they're going to do this in the most tasteful and respectful way they possibly can. And I assume that someone in that circle knows that Bray Wyatt would have wanted this moving forward. I imagine it keeps Bo Dallas and the Wyatt family all in a job. It helps support the family, helps support Bray's kids. I think there's a lot they can do there. I imagine that Bo would have a ton of creative freedom in this to kind of try to finish off Bray Wyatt's story the way Bray Wyatt would have wanted it finished. I think when you ultimately look at it, it is a great way to honor Bray Wyatt. I think especially if they're talking about putting him in the Hall of Fame this year, it can be pretty, it can be done tastefully if it's done right. I think it will be nice. I think Alexa Bliss could come back and be a part of it and participate, because Bray meant so much to her. I don't imagine that Bray Wyatt wanted his story to just get cut off. I think that I believe, I don't know Bray, but I believe that Bray Wyatt probably wouldn't want his story left unfinished, and he would probably appreciate the fact that his legacy carried on in professional wrestling. But that's all I have for you guys this week. Make sure to watch the Casual Wrestling Podcast that posts every Thursday, the Champ and the Chick that posts every Monday, and the Monday Night Raw post show that posts every Tuesday. Hit that like button, share this episode, go over to casualwrestling.com, pick yourself up a shirt, tell a friend to watch this episode, and until next week, keep it casual, my friends. I'm tapping out.
Step in the ring, if you ready, let's go. Ay, Casual Wrestling Community Show. You already know, talking WWE. Keep it rolling and hosted by Notorious Nerdy D. Dope a show that you gon' find. Tune in cause it's online. Hit 'em with a figure 4 leg lock, pile driver or clothesline. We bringing that heat like for show.